At death, you can't take it with you. That's well known. Also reminds us of the famous phrase from Benjamin Franklin, only two things are certain in this life, death and taxes. And that brings us to this week's topic on Legal Video Blog, estate taxes. What are estate taxes? Estate taxes are what taxes are placed upon an estate when somebody dies. In the event of your death, the money you hope to give your children, grandchildren, or others is going to be taxed under many state laws. It may also be taxed by the federal government. Essentially, there are two taxes which can apply to estates. One is at the state level, the second is at the federal level. Federal level, big problem, big problem. And the big problem is that almost 10 years ago, Congress passed a law that provided for essentially a phasing out of the federal estate tax. A lot of people referred to it as a death tax. Concern was that people who had farms and ranches and small businesses, which is where the majority of their life's effort and savings went, were going to be essentially taxed out of existence if there was going to be a big estate tax, especially on the federal level. At that time, when the law was passed, the rate of taxes on estates which were over $675,000 was 55%, over half went to the federal government, and then some of it might have gone to the states. But that was only over $675,000. Well, Congress said there are an awful lot of ranches and farms and small businesses worth over $675,000, so we're going to provide that there will be a decrease over a period of time in the tax rate, and there will be an increase in the amount that will be safeguarded from taxes, that you will deduct from taxes before any rate is due. So the amount decreased from 55% to 45%, and then the amount that would not be taxed increased from $675,000 to $3.5 million per person, or $7 million for a married couple. And that's the way it was in 2009. Along comes 2010, and this law that Congress passed 10 years ago said in 2010 there will be no federal estate tax, absolutely zero. But in 2011, it will go back to what the old rates were. The amount that you can deduct will go down to $675, and the amount that will be taxed, the rate of taxation, will go up to 55%. Okay, now why this kind of crazy law? The purpose of this law was to deal with a problem that existed, but to kind of put it off and say to the future Congress, hey guys, what do you want to do with this? And it was always anticipated that Congress would do something and that there would be an entirely new federal estate plan by the time we got into 2010. But it didn't happen. Congress did nothing. And today, 2010, Congress is involved in elections and nothing's being done. So the speculation is that there might not be any changes. So what does this mean to you? This means that if someone in your family died, left you some money in the year 2010, that they would not be subjected. That money's not subjected to any estate taxes. And then in the news, you've heard those stories about billionaires who have died and owed no estate taxes. No estate taxes in 2010. But next year, whole different ball game. 55%, and the amount that's going to be taxed will increase significantly because the deductions will decrease significantly. So what can you do? This is a big deal. What can you do? What can you do? Well, what you can do is you can see a very qualified estate planner. Now, I'm a lawyer. I don't do estate planning. There are all kinds of lawyers in this country that do all kinds of different work. You need to find yourself an estate planner, ideally an attorney, but it could also be a very good CPA or other estate planner. Check their credentials, see what kind of licensing they have, if any. You need to do this because there are various techniques that exist, and they're too technical to go into. We don't have the time on this video blog, but there are techniques that do exist that can help preserve your estate so that you can pass the maximum amount on to your children. But we're in this very funny period here in the U.S. right now where we don't have any estate tax this year, and next year it's going to go up very significantly. You need to plan for that. You need to plan for that. This video blog is brought to you this week just so you're aware of how the law works, or in this instance, how the law may not be working, but most importantly, what you can do to deal with it. I'm David Allen.